Here's the top 5 submissions you should know as a beginner. For the rear naked choke, best way to set it up is having your arm that's going to go around the neck. So we have a seat belt, we have one arm under the arm, one arm around the neck. The one that's going to go for the choke, it's easier to set this up if that's on top, whilst my bottom arm, the one that's an underhook, blocks Kaya's ability to shift out towards the side. So he can't move out this way, and I'll put my head next to his head too to assist in that. All right, now that that's all blocked, when I slide my arm across, it's hard for him to slip out. Okay, so I've got to make sure this is tight. If this is loose, he's going to escape his head. Okay, so we're tight here. We're going to dig underneath the chin, make a little shape like this with your thumb. Go from the outside next to the jaw, slide it underneath, and maintain pressure. Not too tight yet. I'm not trying to pull into his neck yet. I want it to be faster so I can come through. And I want to get my arm so deep here that it's hooked very close to his neck and hooked around the back of his trap. Okay, I want to get to the point where if he tries to reach and pull my hand, it's kind of difficult to get at. Okay, a very common mistake is just going to here. He's going to peel that off. Okay, another common mistake is being happy here. This is no good. I'm not going to be able to connect my hand. We want to go deep. All right, and lastly, I'm going to cover that with my chin. So now if he tries to peel that off, extremely difficult. Okay, so now we're going to work to get our other hand behind and get the finish. You already noticed one potential issue here. The ground is in the way and it's kind of difficult getting my arm in. Right? It is possible, but the best way to start learning this is actually to try to change sides. So I'm going to hook his leg and try and point my left knee to the roof. If I can step out, point this knee to the roof, we go to the other side. Okay. Now my arm's free to start looking for the neck. So show it from here, but we would be on the other side. Okay, so preferably, best practice for this is not actually to grab my bicep first and swim my arm over. Whilst that looks like it makes sense, he can block my arm. Best practice is to actually put my hand just behind the neck first. Right, so if he tries to pull my arm off, that's stuck. Okay, then I bring my elbow forward and I grab my own bicep. Okay, so I've got my bicep, and I've got my hand behind the head. Lastly, I just move my head away so I can reach my hand pretty much to grab my other shoulder here like this. Once we've got that, I'm in position to squeeze. I'm going to mostly just be rowing backwards with my right arm here as my chest pulls in, and I'm bringing both elbows down and I row back. So your elbows should move apart actually as you're putting the choke on, but they should be moving closer together as you lock everything up. So it's close together to lock, rowing apart to finish. Two common errors at this point you just want to avoid. The first one is a lot of people, very common when you go to finish, you actually slip off your bicep. If I don't grab far enough with this hand, so for example, we're here, and I don't bring this elbow forward enough, I shouldn't continue here, right? Because I'm just getting a little bit of my bicep. When I go to squeeze and row, that will slip off, okay? What I should do is bring my elbow further forward and get a deep grip around the back of my tricep. Now, when I row, there's no way that hand is going to slip, okay? Other common mistake for beginners is trying to push the head. We're not trying to push to choke. Okay? If I'm pushing, you can peel that hand off. Okay? I'm not trying to push his head into my arm. It's all locked in lower than the crown of the skull, and we're just rowing backwards to finish. So in total, that is, we're on our side, we've got a seatbelt, we're blocking them escaping. We slide our hand through, nice and deep, cover with our chin. We're going to point our knee to the roof to change sides. I go with the back of my hand first, roll my shoulder forward, grip my tricep. I remove my head so I can slide to grab my other shoulder, and I can row to finish. Number 2 to focus on is the armbar. Okay, we're going to do it from mount. You can get the armbar from a lot of positions. You can get it from bottom, you can get it from side control, mount. Even when you're on the back, you can go for the armbar. Okay. Now, when we're in mount, the best position to get to before we go for the armbar is the S mount position. So I'm going to look, especially when my opponent's arms reach up. So for example, he's pushing or framing, or maybe I've made a bit of space, clearing the arms. I'm going to try and put one knee next to the head, lift up the bottom arm, and fold my leg underneath here like this. So I'm looking to pinch my knees together and make it so he cannot push this leg with his hand. Okay. Now I'm in good position to start to set up the armbar finish. Okay. So why do we do that? If I just go for the armbar here, he's likely to push my leg, he's likely to drop his elbow. It's very hard to get here unless he just makes a very big mistake of like extending his arm too much. Usually we're looking to make our opponent turn on their side, defend things. A very good way to get this S mount actually is pin an arm, and they have to turn in to start defending that arm. Okay, all right. So once he turns, I'm going to put that top knee behind the head. I'm going to pick up his elbow so that I can fold my leg underneath and he can't push that leg. Now that I'm here, I'm going to scoop the arm, post on the mat here, leaning forward. All right, and then I'm going to swing my leg over the head, back heel, fall, and finish. Let's just talk about why I do some of these things. Okay, first off, you want to lean to the side. Most common mistake is people are standing like this, like with weight on their foot over the top here. I cannot get my leg over without lifting my hips if I do this. Okay, see how when I try and step over his head, I leave a big gap to free the arm. Okay, that's one of the reasons when we get S mount, we want to fold our leg. We want to fold our leg and lean to the side, even forward like this. So see how my hips are low, and I can keep them low as I swing my leg over the head. So if he's trying to free that arm, he shouldn't be able to because my hips haven't lifted. Okay. So we want to lean forward, swing the leg over first. That's the next very common mistake people make, is they sit down and then try and put the leg over, and I've lost that tightness with my hips. As soon as I sit down, he's trying to free that elbow, I've lost the armbar. Okay. So we should have weight on them, leaning to the side, post on the mat if possible. And then lastly, even when we sit down, when my legs are over, I don't want him to be able to escape, which is again going to be by freeing this elbow. If he moves his head away, he can suck that elbow down. So I'm trying to stop his head moving away by back heeling, curling his head in. So he tries to free that elbow now, and it should be reasonably stuck. We want to do that before we fall. Come over, back heel. Now when I fall, it's a nice easy armbar. Once more, pin an arm so that they turn on their side. Knee next to the head, we'll pick that arm up, fold, lean to the side, hook the arm, swing over the top, and we fall back to finish the armbar. Thumb pacing up, pinch your knees together, and then we can start bringing our hips in to get the finish. Number 3 is the guillotine. This is a submission we can attack from bottom when we're wrestling and from top, right? So when I'm on bottom, if I can make my opponent's head go down, I can come up into the front headlock position. Okay. If he was shooting a takedown on me and I managed to sprawl my legs, front headlock position, and often when we're on top, our opponent tries to escape, they'll often get themselves in this front headlock position. So where I've got an arm around the chin and another one around the arm. So my one hand's got the chin, the other one's behind the back of the shoulder here, back of the armpit. So when he tries to pull away, that's difficult. I've got two things pulling against that when he tries to back out. And you want your shoulder in front of them a little bit. So if he tries to drive forward, grab my legs, he's a bit stuck too. Okay, this is our base position. All right, so the main thing with the guillotine, we're going to go just with the head. The main thing to think about is I want it to be tight before I fall down into the position. Okay, so the most common mistake, we get this, we sit down and then we're trying to tighten everything and we lose the head. I want to pull the head up nice and high in my armpit, get my hands high on my chest, and now when I sit down, I can lock it all off and it's a very tight finish. So this is a really important mechanic when we look at finishing the guillotine choke, or a lot of chokes, even footlocks require something similar. One of the weakest actions when we're trying to do a squeezing motion is actually the bicep curl, trying to pull our hands up
okay, like this. So a lot of times we don't want to wait till the end, like we set everything in, we're extending and squeezing, and then the last thing we're doing is trying to pull on their neck. Then we're using our weakest action as the last thing, okay? And that's often where it's going to fail, essentially. What you want to do is try and lock that in. So I want to try and get my hands very high. I lift my shoulder up and get my hands high, my elbow back, and then when I finish, my hands don't even really move. I'm still trying to squeeze, but they don't really move. It's my dropping of the shoulder and my arching of the back that close off a space here like this. And you can see that's a lot stronger. I'm using my core and muscles around my shoulder, which are a lot stronger than your bicep to finish. That's basically what we're trying to set up with our positioning. So when I've got Kaya in here and I got the guillotine, I don't want to fall and then start trying to bicep curl from here. I want to try to get his head up nice and high. You should almost be able to look over your back and see the head. This gives you room by lifting my shoulder to my ear and my hand back a little bit. It gives me a lot of room to get my hands high and lock them tight to my chest. So now my hands don't move. I can even from here, if I close in, I can make him tap by starting to lock my shoulder down. And it's obviously even stronger if I do that. And I bring my leg over the top as well, so that I can add to the squeeze with my legs and my body. So a couple of things on the finish here, okay. First off, guillotine is good when their body is on the same side as their head, okay. So if he is able to run to the other side, it's very hard to finish a choke here. I don't have good leverage anymore, okay. So I'm trying to use my leg, in fact both legs, one here and one over here. So if he tries to run that way, he can't. That's where I want my legs as I set up the finish, okay. Having a leg over his back also makes it hard for him to, or at least if he tries to roll away, which can alleviate it, I can follow him with my legs. If I don't do that, he can roll away, potentially slip out of this. So lastly, common mistake, don't try and pull their head off, okay. This is how we cause injuries. We're not trying to extend. See, I'm like arching back. This is pulling on his neck, okay. More hurts him than actually does the choke well. Okay, it's possible to choke, but it's much better and much safer for our training partners if we focus on getting our hands high, folding in, and crunching. Yeah, crunch in, closing off that space more than arching. So the next submission is a Kimura, which is a shoulder lock, where I want to basically rotate his hand behind his back, rotating the whole shoulder, making him tap. It attacks the shoulder, sometimes even the elbow as well. Okay, so the Kimura is really good. There's a lot of places you can get the Kimura grip from, right? If you want to finish the Kimura itself, one of the best spots is from north-south. Okay, so when we're in side control, if we get an underhook on the arm, we're going to scoop close to the shoulder, and we're going to pull that shoulder towards our chest and push off the ground to lean back, and then you take your elbow from the front side to the back side and put some weight through your shoulder on that arm. This is called like the up and crush position here, right? This, by levering my weight down, putting my weight on my elbow, it kind of sort of pulls my hand in, and I got weight on his hand, so it's hard to remove that. So when Kaya goes to roll flat, okay, goes to roll back down, I can use my hand and this pressure to fight that. Okay? It is very hard to fight it like this. Okay? If he wants to go flat here, he can. Okay? But once you get your elbow in and you lean over the top, we're in a much better position to do that. Okay? So now I can keep this shoulder elevated and that arm elevated, so it's easier to get at the arm. Right? It's very hard to get a Kimura. If he drops that elbow and he goes flat, it's very easy for him to slip this shoulder and elbow out. So I'm going to keep him on his side here like this. As I step over, and then I want to replace pressure that's pulling back here with my knee and my foot. So there's now a frame. If he goes to roll flat, you see the shoulder pressures into my knee and it's blocked by the ground. So it's hard to roll flat now. I'm in position where I can start changing grips and looking for the finish. So I've blocked his top shoulder here. I also want my
right knee jamming into the bottom shoulder, because he could flatten out by rolling his bottom shoulder forward too. See, that will flatten him out too. So if I've got my right leg pinched in here and my other leg taking the top shoulder, I'm really keeping him on his side. Right. To get the Kimura grip, you'll change hands, come nice and high in the armpit. We're going to grab the wrist and connect our hands together here like this. Right. Now when we do a Kimura, we want to grip with our fingers over the top, like this, the same thumb and fingers on the same side, like this, when we grab their wrist and when we grab our own wrist as a figure 4. Okay. Naturally, you might feel like gripping thumb on one side, fingers on the other. The problem with this grip, you'll see there's a gap, right? And if he straightens his arm, it tends to go through that gap. Okay. When we close fingers on the same side, we tend to be able to reach further over the top, so there's no gap when he straightens his arm now. He goes to straighten, it runs into resistance. Okay. So we're going to grip like this. Just remember, I want to push his hand behind his back, so my hand that is in a good position to do that connects. If you grab, some people grab the wrong way. This is a common mistake. It's hard for me to, I'm trying to now pull his arm across. That's difficult. I want it to be a push across like this, if that helps you remember where your grip goes. Okay. Right, so once we've got this grip, I now try to get my chest connected as well. Okay, I'm going to posture up, keep my elbows tight. I'm also using my body, like I don't want to be arms. This is a real battle of like who's stronger, especially if he connects his hands together and I'm trying to fight here. I want to connect my chest if possible and use my leg and my body weight to break that grip. See, my elbows stay tight and I can put his hand behind the back. When we're finishing the Kimura, imagine you're just trying to slide the back of their hand up along their head. So I can now start using my elbow over the top, pushing the hand. So some common mistakes with this. Obviously, the biggest issue people have with the Kimura is allowing their opponent to turn flat. If he can turn flat, he sucks that elbow free, he's out. Okay. I need to be blocking his head with my legs. Okay. If he frees his head, okay, he's going to be able to get out of this too. Right. So I want to, once I come over, I'm blocking his head from escaping. I'm pinching tight with my other leg. I'm changing grips here like this, and I want to be close to the elbow. Okay. If I'm far away from the elbow, again, it's trying to use my arms too much. So lastly, if they connect their hands together, it's hard to take the hand directly across. Often his grip is fighting that direct movement. Sometimes you want to posture and pull away. You do this sort of triangle action. We go like up and across, then here, and then down. Right, so we posture this way first, come across, and then we go behind the back. So in summary, we're in side control. We're going to scoop the shoulder, not the elbow, the shoulder to pull up, get our elbow in front and lean on the arm here. This frees up our legs to step over the head, pinch our top leg near the shoulder, bottom knee on the other bottom shoulder. I'm going to change hands, switch to the Kimura grip. If he's gripping his arms together, posture lean to the side, and then cut his hand behind his back. This part you want to do very slowly, count to a few seconds because it can come on very quick. So the last submission to go through is the triangle. So from the triangle, a good place to set this up, we have an overhook like this, and then we can control our opponent's other wrist. Okay. Once we've blocked their wrist, our aim is really so that they have one arm in like this, and one arm outside of our legs. So now I'm starting to get into the triangle position. One arm's trapped, the other one is out. Okay, so the challenge, your first challenge is how do we force that to happen? If I overhook, I'm making sure this arm is stuck in. You can't take that arm out now. Now I just need to make sure this other arm can go out. So if I grab this wrist, what I can do is step on his hip and put my knee in front of his shoulder. This stops him going forward. Okay, if Kaya comes forward on me, keep going. It's very hard to get his arm out. Okay. So I'm trying to step so he can't go forward. He tries to go forward now that I'm stepping. That's difficult. And then put my knee in front of the shoulder so his shoulder can't even go forward. He tries to go forward now. More difficult. Then, once I'm there, I can even use my hand to block. I want to try and step my foot in front. Okay. This really frees up. If I can use my hand, step my foot, It's very hard for him to drive forward, and I've got a lot of freedom now to take my leg out. And you see I've now removed his arm from being in, and I'm into the triangle position. Once more, that's our setup. We've got the overhook here like this in close guard. I'm going to grab the wrist, step on the hip, get in front of his shoulder, okay? And then I want to get my other foot in front, often with the help of my hand, just to get that foot digging in here. Now when he's trying to go forward, okay, I can start removing my leg, and I've got one arm in, one arm out, okay? Now immediately we need to be worried about posture, okay? If Kaya postures up very tall, I can't choke him, it puts a lot of, it's now very heavy on my legs, I'm gonna use a lot of energy. So the first thing you should do is try to break posture. You can grab their head, you can grab your own leg here as well. Something that comes over the top, so he's trying to posture up now, that's difficult, okay? To get the triangle choke on, it's a tricky movement to get used to, and that's why it's a great one to learn like angles as a beginner. My aim is really get my right thigh, which is right now sort of on the side of his neck. I want that thigh to cut across his neck like this. This one's actually going to do all of the choking, okay? That's going to do all the choking, and I want my legs to be able to pull back in. When I curl, they're going to pull his head into my thigh. I'm going to pull it in, and it's all going to choke from that single leg here like this. Okay, so to get to that position, we've broken posture. Ideally, we're fighting to get the arm across body too. Just be wary. If you reach for the arm, don't let them posture up. Okay, so at all times, something's got to be controlling his posture whilst they fight to get the arm across. Okay. It's definitely good if you can get the arm across. Not essential, but very good. Okay. All right, now I'm going to hold my shin. Let's turn. And I want to get a good angle with my leg so I can choke. Okay. So I hold my shin, step on the hip, I move my hip out like this, and I want to push-pull with my legs so my knees are pinched together as I curl down, lock, and squeeze. Sorry. I'll try to loosen it a bit just to show this, right? So what are the classic mistakes? Don't lock too early. Okay. Now that I've locked, there's not as much enough pressure on, and it's hard to turn and actually tighten it up even further. If you're constantly pulling down with this leg, okay, you're going to struggle to get good angle. I want my knees close together, and to do that, I have to actually alleviate a little bit to do that. So as I step on the hip to get my angle, I want to keep his head down, and I push-pull with my knees first. Okay, I should be able to make him tap pretty much just from that. Okay, obviously when we're just not resisting. Okay. Once you've got some of that pressure, you then lock, so your feet are aligned, we make a right angle, and then we rotate back out again. And then lastly, by curling this foot, both feet pull towards my hips. Okay. A little detail here, actually if you lock all the way in your knee, curling doesn't do as much as if you lock a little closer, just slightly onto your calf. Okay, now when I curl, my right foot gets pulled down too. I'll show that without. Okay, so he can have a rest. So if I curl just here, this is the gap the head is, right? Closes off pretty well. If I go a little further, now it closes off even further. You see, by curling down, it brings my heel down here. When it's jammed right in my knee, my heel moves less far down, okay? So in total, we get the overhook, we block the hand, we step on the hip, knee in front of the shoulder. We're now going to block their shoulder, free our leg, lock up, control posture. Then, keeping the posture broken, if possible, I'll start to take the arm across body. Okay. Sometimes you do it without the arm across. Step on the hip, make my angle, shins aligned, push, pull, lock, curl. If you want more content, you can go to my website, submeta.io, using the link below. I have a free course for Introduction to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and courses on just about any topic in Jiu-Jitsu.